July is a little thin, which I suspect is due to summer break, but there are always interesting indie games, beginning with yet another Zombie Survivors. Yes, another Bullet Heaven roguelite, but this time with a pedigree since developer Awesome Games Studio have made titles like Fury Unleashed, iZombie, and even yet another Zombie Defense, so it's interesting to see them turn their attention to this subgenre with the 3-person squad that you're controlling looking like an interesting twist. Me being me, of course I love the look of Stonks 9800 Stock Market Simulator, one with a throwback pixel art style and visuals that reminds me of 80s anime, which is exactly what they're going for since they're simulating the Japanese stock market in that era. This game is primarily on the list for how unique and different it is, and yes, while it is a largely text-based title with math, where you're looking at income statements and choosing which stocks to buy, there's something interesting about this game that just makes me curious. In addition to the core money-making parts of the game, there's a whole life sim aspect since you need to watch your health and not to overwork yourself, being able to go on dates, play mini-games like Pachinko, and perhaps engage in more shady business dealings. Of course, if you do your research, you will know that this period in history is the run-up to a large asset price bubble, which, after the crash, took almost 30 years for the Nikkei 225 to return to its previous level, so I'm not sure how historically accurate this simulation is going to be and how dark things can get, but it's one of interest for sure.
Hey Gordon, it's Kyle. I know we're dropping this on you last minute, but we need you to head down to the Sunrise Street studio lot. The antenna activated itself last night and started broadcasting that old puppet show over the news. You need to turn that thing off. You gotta get this done, man. Bye.
The last job of the day is always the worst.
Raise the curtain, bring up the lights, the neighborhood is coming to town!
Ever since My Friendly Neighborhood was announced, it immediately got the attention of many since it is essentially a Sesame Street horror game with one of the main enemies looking very similar to Ernie, and looks pretty disturbing. It is set in an abandoned TV studio which used to be the set of a kids' puppet show named The Friendly Neighborhood, which closed down after interest in the show began to decline. But many years later, the antenna mysteriously begins broadcasting once again, and you play as a handyman sent to fix the problem, only to stumble into something much more sinister. It is creepy while still being bright and colourful, where it comes to us from John and Evan Szymanski, who are the brothers of David Szymanski, creator of Dusk, so it looks like game dev runs in the family.
We came to this rogue planet to build something that could save our own. Underground, we discovered something beautiful. And a mystery we couldn't explain.
If you're into factory builders like Satisfactory, Techtonica will be a title of interest, a first-person title where it is all about conveyor belts and automation, with one of its key differentiators being that it is set completely underground.
Humanity is counting on you, Groundbreaker. So am I. Let's get to work.
It does otherwise look very similar, where the compelling gameplay loop of this genre will propel you forward, since getting that next resource for that next upgrade, which enables you to get just a little bit further, is just fantastic, where this will be an early access release with more content to be added. We also have the early access release of Xenonauts 2, a long-in-development XCOM-like tactics title that is the sequel to a fan favourite, primarily because this is a throwback to the original XCOM games rather than the modern Firaxis variants. This title was kickstarted back in 2018 and I thought was vaporware, but the developer has been constantly updating the community on Kickstarter, which is the way to go. you are intercepting UFOs and sending your squad out, collecting and researching alien biology and technology to get the advantage. It is also set in an alternate history version of Earth in the year 2009, but where the Cold War is still ongoing and the Berlin Wall still stands, looking to be a great tactics title.
It's been a while since someone's wandered around this place. And wanderers are always welcome.
One of the runaway successes of the Steam Next Festival is Viewfinder, a first-person puzzle game that plays with perspective, where you're using a Polaroid camera to take pictures and then using that to get through the levels.
I've been meaning to ask. What brought you here?
Titles like this have the potential to be very popular, as is the case with Superliminal, where it's been a while since that title and the time is right for one of these.
Records of their work here. In case they were to ever come back. I must admit, I'm surprised you made it this far. It's quite exciting.
Just a quick one here with the all-action boomer shooter Turbo Overkill, which is releasing out of early access next month, being one that takes it to the extreme, where our protagonist has chainsaw legs that can be used in combat. There are vehicle sections, a nice variety of weapons, and an almost Quake plus Duke Nukem feel to the game, but all modernized quite nicely, so if you love shooters, this is one to get. Onto something very different in Koa and the Five Pirates of Mara, a wonderful little 3D platformer that comes to us from a cross-collaboration of two developers, Chibik, who owns the Mara universe with games like the
Cozy Farm Sim
Summer in Mara, as well as Taupa Games, who made the tremendously underrated Male Mole, where with their powers combined, looks to be making an excellent title. You play as a chibi version of our main character Koa, where I believe this story is from her childhood, where she and her friend must defeat pirate bosses to save the archipelago. .3D platformers are pretty rare these days, which makes a game like this of interest, even more so when it looks as good as this, so hopefully it will control well with a good camera that plays exactly how you want it to. Speaking of cozy games, I have to mention Venba, one which I last covered during the Steam Next Festival, where this narrative cooking title where you play as a migrant Indian mother in Canada in the 1980s will be sure to hit some emotional notes. Food is central to all cultures around the world, where an old family cookbook which was passed down is at the center of this story, telling a tale of family, love and loss, and while it might be on the shorter side, should be one of the standout titles of the year. I'm not sure why, but this game does not have a trailer on Steam, where the 1.0 release of this pixel art action roguelite is of interest, primarily because of what they have accomplished in a relatively short amount of time. This released in early access in April 2022 and is estimated to have grossed about 700k in revenue, with an overwhelmingly positive rating, where it looks to be fairly by the numbers, but where the combat and upgrades are tuned just right, and it even has 4-player co-op support, making Ember Knights one of interest for roguelite fans, with more of my favourites in this video.